Hello, you guys, and welcome back to yet another episode of the Identity Crisis Podcast. Yes, I've been on a hiatus, okay, or like a, what do you call it, like a sabbatical. I don't even know what to call it anymore, but like I've been away, but I'm back with a guest and a very special one, that too. I am so excited to have Jennifer on the show with me. She is the most iconic stylist, creative director, fashion content creator, and I'm just lucky I got you scheduled in. Like, let's be real. With the back-to-backs, it's crazy. So thank you for making the time. Thank you for hopping on. And yeah, I'm excited to chit chat.
Me too. Thank you for having me. First of all, I'm a fan. Huge fan. Love the podcast and listen to the first episode, second, third, and I'm catching up.
Yeah.
And so happy you did that. Yeah.
Thank you.
So thank you for having me, because when you started having guests, I was like, oh my god. And then you asked and I was like, yes, of course.
You're like, duh, obviously. No.
I was waiting for you.
Of course. You were like my dream guest list. I was like, whoa. I gotta ask her. I swear to God. Like,
I love that.
Yeah, exactly.
I love that.
We see each other.
We see each other.
Yeah.
Smells amazing in here.
Really?
Honestly. Yeah.
Okay,
what
good.
Is it?
No, it's honestly, we all know and love like the Dastangoy candles.
Okay.
This is monsoons in Mumbai, honestly. Like, it just, the rain, the smell, everything is, I just love it. I just feel like it brings the cozy vibes, you know?
Yes. No, I'm obsessed with the brand. I have 2 candles from them as well.
Yeah.
So,
And I needed, I just wanted more South Asian representation. And I was like, please, like, this is just so perfect. You know what I mean? And
yes.
I personally, for me, a candle sets the vibe every single time. Like, I am such a candle gal. Like, every single situation, a candle gotta be lit.
Yeah, we have to have that conversation. Okay, let me light up a candle.
Exactly. So now we're on the pod.
Sage candles, incense.
Exactly. So I was like, for the pod, are you kidding me? We need one. So
yes.
Here we are. But yeah, I love it. I love it so much. I'm so excited to sort of dig in to sort of your identity, what makes you who you are, and how you started and how it all started for you, you know?
Yeah.
I feel like the first time we met was on set years ago, like we just mentioned, which is crazy.
Right.
And you know what's so crazy to me is that when I first saw Jennifer, she was this like boss lady woman on set, like no time for nobody, literally like looks on looks, ready to go. Like, you are so on it on set. It's crazy.
Yeah.
When I first saw you, I was like, who is she? Because she is dope. And I, like, that was so inspiring for me. And I didn't even know you yet. And then we briefly, like, met. And I just moved back to Dubai. So I had no one. I didn't know anyone from the industry. I didn't know anyone. So I was just like, this is so inspiring. Like,
thank you so much.
And it was such a big production. Yeah. I'm sure you've done bigger. But in my sort of perspective, I was like, this is crazy. And it was just you and an assistant, I think.
Yeah, I had one assistant on that job.
And then ever since, here we are. Like, that's like the first time I met you, and I just remember being like, wow, like in awe, like super inspired. And I'm just so glad to be able to sort of understand more about your background and what brought you to where you are today.
Okay.
So I guess I'm just going to start off by just, tell us about where you're from, your background, your upbringing, and then we dive in.
So I'm from Belgium, born and raised, originally from Congo, DRC, and both parents are Congolese, landed in Belgium for work. My mom studied in Belgium. My dad was a journalist, correspondent for Congolese Press Zaire, it was called at the time. And we always were told that we would go back to Congo, and that was like kind of the plan, but then we ended up staying because war broke out. So I'm born in Brussels, but then when I was 5, we moved to the countryside, and then I had to learn Flemish, and I was like catapulted into a school with all white kids, because it was like the suburbs and less foreigners, because you're like out countryside, out back. And that was I think that was my first trauma, you could say, because I had to fight a lot as a 5-year-old child who needs to learn the language. I had to learn to speak Flemish.
Of course.
which is Dutch. You know,
Yeah,
the equivalent
yeah.
of Dutch in Belgium is
Yeah.
called Flemish. And yeah, kind of be fencing for myself because, you know, kids are cruel, and it's like the first racism that I experienced was
Yeah.
there also. And it was me and my little brother. And we arrived, I'll always remember, we arrived in the school, and all the kids were like just staring at us like we were aliens. It was some of them the first time I think they saw a black person in
Right.
real life.
No, of course.
So
That's crazy.
so it was yeah, I think that's something that shaped me.
Yeah.
Yeah, I studied in Brussels. I did high school was near my house, like
Right.
in the suburbs. But then around 15, 16, I started feeling like it was too small for me. And so I convinced my mom to let me go to school in Brussels. Both my parents were a little bit against it, but then they were like, okay, maybe she
Time.
needs it. She's responsible enough, grown enough to go to school a little further. And then, yeah, I felt like life started for me.
Okay.
Because then I found my community also,
Yeah.
you know. Obviously, I always had community through my parents, but I created my own community. It's
Exactly.
different because
so
through your parents, it's friends of friends, friends of the family, cousins, da da da. And then when you're old enough, you create your own space, right? And
Exactly.
so that happened around the age of 16. Started going to Brussels, to school, to uni. And then I didn't finish university. I kind of was, you know, life took over in traumatic ways. Had a
Okay.
situationship with an ex-boyfriend.
Oh, it's always one of them.
Yeah, so I left home to go live with him
Okay.
in Belgium.
Okay.
In Brussels, sorry.
Yeah.
My parents were kind of like, "You're on your own.
Yeah.
If you leave the house, you're gonna pay for your school fees yourself." And I was like, "Okay, I'm gonna take a job and go to school." And I did that for a while. I had 2 jobs, and I was going to school, and I kind of like, you know, you leave a house where you have bills paid,
Yeah.
the heater's on, you have no problems. But the way my spirit is set up, or I don't know, like it's something outside of my mind, because I know logically it doesn't make sense, but like my soul
Yeah.
needed that experience of like hardship, I guess. I think
100%.
I chose that, and I was like, no, I want to go live with my boyfriend who's just as broke as me, and we're gonna struggle.
Yeah.
that
And
that
this
was
is
my
gonna
plan.
shape me.
And
Yeah.
it's gonna shape me.
Exactly.
And my mom was like, okay.
Yeah. Low key, kind of wise. You took that step. I mean,
Yeah, I mean, yeah, it is
You
part
know.
of who I am today. Is because
Exactly.
of those experiences. Then after that, go.
what brought you to Dubai after that point? So,
Oh yeah, so I'm in Brussels studying there. Break up with the boyfriend, go back home to my parents, and they took me back in.
Yeah.
Like, see,
you're like,
You know,
so we told you.
told you.
Exactly.
Exactly. And then I just mentally wasn't in the right space to continue to pursue school anymore. But I started working straight away in a PR agency,
Okay.
a big PR agency actually, called Tandem.
Okay.
They look after LVMH Group. So my first legit job was not as a student. When I say legit, I mean like a full-time job.
Yeah.
Was a assistant PR for Louis Vuitton, Moët Chandon,
Wow.
and some of the LVMH group brands that were in Benelux, so
Okay.
Belgium, Netherlands, Luxembourg. That was the market at the time.
Mm-hmm.
It was a job and a half. I was like, whoa.
That's crazy.
Right
I had
in there.
no idea you were a PR girly. Like from.
I studied PR and
crazy.
marketing.
Okay.
Yes, that's my background.
Wow.
Yeah.
Oh my
I
God.
studied PR and marketing, and then like I said, I didn't graduate, but I went back to it
Yeah.
straight away to work in the industry, and I was lucky enough to find a great job.
Yeah.
But it didn't last because I wasn't in the right space, and me and my boss at the time agreed that it wasn't really working for me because I was.
Right.
She was like, and she did me, actually now looking back, at the time I was heartbroken obviously, but like looking back, she did me a favor. Like she actually put me on my tracks. Do you know what I mean?
I always say that. It's always, I've trained my brain to say this, that literally rejection is redirection.
Thank you.
Always. Like it's so corny to say it like that, but it's so true.
Yeah.
And I feel like your experience and even, you know, past experiences of mine, that I'm like, in the moment you're just like, oh, like whatever, I lost my job, blah, blah, blah. But then you think about it and you're like, had I stayed, none of this would have happened.
I would have, I wouldn't have been me today.
Yeah, exactly.
So she saw it in me and she was like, you're a creative and you have great taste. The way you curate things, because for events they would send me, because I was the assistant, they would send me buy a tablecloth, buy this, buy that, buy baskets, buy whatever, like, you know, bits and bobs that you would send an assistant to do. And she was like, you could actually run, you know, something creative and not so much like be in the office and be like a PR girly. Yeah. She saw that I had the skill, but not. Yeah, it wasn't for me.
Yeah, she pushed you in that way.
Yeah.
How did you find your way from there to styling then?
Okay, so then I'm kind of jobless, looking around. I go back to retail because as a student, I had done a lot of retail, just, you know, odd jobs here and there, summer jobs, or during the year, I would work in stores, do a lot of those types of jobs. So I go back to retail for some time, not really working. Moved even to my sister's in Luxembourg for 3-4 months to figure myself out. It was like that time where you're not sure what direction to go in. And I wanted to have an international experience. I knew that in the back of my mind. I was like, Belgium's too small for me. Yeah. You know, I had a blog also. Okay. A fashion blog. Wow. Because fashion was always part of me. It's just I didn't have the upbringing from home to pursue it. Like my parents were like, you need a steady job, something serious.
Lawyer, doctor, engineer.
Thank you.
Usual. Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah. So that pushed me in that direction of like more bureaucracy. Yes. Something more acceptable for my parents was PR. That was like the middle ground.
The middle ground where you could do something cute, but still
that satisfies them. Yeah. It's a 9-to-5. It's a job with an office. Because they're like, where's the office? You know, that's what they cared about.
Exactly.
So I had an address that I could submit, and then, but then in the end, it was like, no, it's not me. It's not really. I need to be doing fashion. Yeah. And I got the opportunity from a friend who I went to uni with, who was following my blog. And on Facebook, he was following me. And he said, I love the content you put out. And I'd love for you to come and see the store opening. We're opening a store in Dubai. And it's with a girl from Bahrain. She's the owner, creator. And I'm the fashion director and co-creator or founder, you could say. Like they were doing that together as a project. And I was like, let's do it. It was a no-brainer. Then I consulted my mom because she's very, she's a matriarch, a little bit controlling and likes to know
what's going on
and
the baby cubs.
Yes, exactly. So I was scared to tell her at first, like, I'm gonna move country. And it was crazy because I was scared, but then when I told her, she was like, you go. Yeah. She was so encouraging, and it's till today it was a big step for me to move alone also. But I did the interview on Zoom, and a week or two later I was in Dubai. So it went very fast. I think it was like maybe 3 weeks, but it was so fast. In my memory now, it feels like a blip.
Like randomly, and just ended up here. Oh wow.
And it was a great experience. It was a store, a fashion concept store called Mahani. They were in Emirates Towers.
Nice.
A lot of very well curated brands that were unknown to the region, like Raf Simons, very niche.
Oh, really?
Mugler at the time. This is 11 years ago. Nobody knew about Mugler here. So it was very niche. And Stephen Tai. So it was an endless list of very niche designers out of St. Martin's, out of like London College
Fresh
of Fashion.
Grads who,
So,
Did you ever feel intimidated sort of diving in head first into the fashion space, not having that sort of Parsons, Central St. Martin's background? Like, was that ever intimidating? Because I feel like that is for me sometimes, you know?
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, 100%. And it's, to be completely honest, it still is.
Yeah.
But I've learned in other ways. So it's always going to be that little inner chatter.
Yeah.
That voice of like imposter syndrome that, you know, it's there.
Yeah.
And I think I worked around it and
Yeah.
I pushed through in other areas, maybe less academic, maybe more, you know, technical of how to, you know, put a production together. 'Cause
Yeah.
I also have done productions, but that's another
Yeah.
topic. But yeah, so
Yeah, that's crazy.
it is definitely a very intimidating space, a very intimidating. Yeah, fashion is that
It is.
elite type of, you know.
Of course, like sort of like if you're
space.
in with it sort of thing. And I feel like even in our parents' minds or, you know, people who aren't in the industry, they just sort of think that, okay, so if you are doing fashion, like, are you a designer? Like,
Yes.
you know, and
Oh,
it's like,
yes.
it's like, no, like,
100%.
You know?
How do you explain what a stylist does? That's still,
exactly.
I think most people now kind of understand, but at the beginning, 10 years ago, well, I wasn't doing that straight away 10
Yeah.
years ago, obviously, but like when I started styling, it was hard to explain that I was dressing people. They were like, so you're dressing people?
Yeah.
So you choose what they wear?
Yeah. And it's
Like,
like,
that's a very foreign concept for a lot of people,
for
surprisingly.
sure. Yeah.
But I'd be like, yeah, I mean, there's TV commercials, there's magazines, there's TV shows, there's so many. Everything you see, someone has curated the wardrobe.
Yeah.
It's simply put, that's what I do. I curate what looks good in the setting
Yeah.
of what is presented.
Exactly.
And
That's the best way to put it.
yeah.
Yeah.
And then they were like, okay. Because they thought I was just like coming to steam. Yeah, that's
Yeah.
part of the delivery of the deliverables.
Yeah.
It's part of that, but it's not that.
Yeah,
It's
of
not just
course.
that.
Of course. It's so much more than that.
Complex,
it's
yeah.
like I feel like when I started seeing stylists like yourself like on a large production and sort of understood how it goes, like for each shot and each scene you are in play.
Yeah.
Like at every single time. Like you were even styling us out here. You're like, let's put this one right there. And like everything is like thought of.
Yes.
And it's just this like attention to detail that you guys have, I guess, you know, like all the way down to even, oh, like this is your look if you're going from here to here, like, which is crazy to me. It's just all this detail. I mean, so let's just go back. When you came here
Yeah.
with the store, you were styling for them already?
No.
Okay.
Well, it happened because it was such a small structure.
Yeah, but it was more of like a retail space, as you
Yes,
said.
correct.
So how did you go from that to then being like, all right, like I think I'm ready to be on my own, and I kind of just want to test the waters being a stylist by myself?
Yeah,
You know, how
yeah.
did that happen for you?
So that's a long journey from there, but I'll try and keep it short and sweet.
We got time.
So, yep. So, yeah. So from the store, that was 2013. I was hired as a store manager / PR manager because it was a small store, and I had both experiences.
So they were like, you know what, you're doing both.
You're gonna do both. No, they had a PR, but then along the way it didn't work out. So they were like, well, you have the experience. Let's, you know, put it to use. So I was doing and store manager and operations and also selling,
Yeah.
you know, and the PR. So it was a great experience that actually allowed me to grow and get to know Dubai, because doing PR forces you to go out and reach out to people.
Yeah, and connect with people.
And connect. That's kind of how I built my network, was through that first initial job, was a big one. Then a year and a half, almost 2 years down the line, the store wasn't doing as well as we would have wished. In terms of visibility, it was great and a lot of great press. Everyone was excited about the store, but it was too avant-garde. For Dubai, 10 years ago, it was too soon. 11 years ago, was too much.
Yeah.
And I think it didn't translate in sales.
Right.
So there wasn't enough footfall. There was a lot of like press loans. So we had editorials every month, a bunch, but then we didn't translate into sales.
Money making, yeah.
Yeah. So that was a shame. I left before the store closed, and I started doing PR for small brands. And this is, I say PR because, I mean, it is PR. That's what I was doing. But I'm telling that part because this was my mind not being ready to take the step of actually going in as a stylist. And, you know, that path had to be that way. So I was doing PR for up and coming designers like Basal Zuman at the time. And I was hired through an agency, but I was a freelancer under an agency called the Fashion Network at the time. That lasted a little while and also didn't feel like it was, you know, what I needed to be doing. So then I struggled for a couple of, I'd say a year, almost a year. It was a struggle because I didn't have a steady income or a steady space where I could, you know, a job.
Yeah,
I didn't have a job. Let's put it that way.
Exactly.
It was just hard.
Yeah.
I don't think it was a whole year. It was like maybe 4 or 5 months, but it felt like forever.
Of course.
In Dubai.
Oh my God, it always like
in Dubai.
it's crazy.
Girl.
No, if you're not working for a month, it's like, oh, you might as well just like call
Just
it quits.
go home.
Yeah, just
Go
go home.
babes.
Give it up. I so know what you mean. Yeah.
And then for those 4 or 5 months, I had very good friends that helped me, that supported me. My girlfriends that we were sharing an apartment with. I was like, girl, I don't know how I'm going to do it. They were like, okay, we got you this month. And then it was like 2 months, 3 months. I was like, oh. Then my mom was sending me money. And then 1 month she was like, listen, we're sending you this much. It was like 500 euros.
Yeah.
We're sending you 500 euros. That's your ticket to Belgium. You're flying back. That's it.
It's a wrap.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And like, but it's only been 5 months. I'm going to get a job. And she's like, well, you do what you want to do, but just know that this is it. So I was like, oh shit. Do I pay rent or do I buy a flight? And I paid rent.
Okay.
I was like, I'm staying.
Oh my God.
Nope.
Yeah, that is honestly risky.
Yeah. She's like, okay, I see you.
Yeah.
And she respected it at the end. In the end, because I think she knows me. She always said, like, when you have something in your mind, you're just a nightmare. Like my mom always said that. You have something in your mind, you're just never going to give up. I'm a Capricorn, so it also makes sense.
Going to say,
yeah,
big Capricorn energy.
Yeah.
I love it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I stayed, managed to get an odd little job that paid the bills for 2-3 months again in a completely different industry. It was healthcare. And I was doing cold calls to get people to sign up to join in on a healthcare event called Digital Health, which was very new back then. Everything was getting digitalized. I don't know if you remember 10 years ago when like the apps were becoming a big thing. And
everyone's trying to get everyone to sign up.
Yes. And so there was an event specifically for that. And it was kind of big, actually. We had like John Scully, the ex-CEO of Pepsi that came to Dubai to speak at that event, John Nosta, people that I didn't really know, but it opened my horizon to something completely different, not fashion related. And I helped to do PR as well on that event. So it was a great opportunity. Yeah. But then I was jobless again once the event was over because it's such a short, period of time. I was jobless again. And then while I was doing the cold calls to find people to come to the event, I came across a guru, Guruji Sanjeev.
Wow.
And he introduced me to mindfulness, and he came and spoke at the event. And then after that, I was like in a, desperate streak. I was like, I need to talk to somebody. And I remember him saying, when you need something, just call me. I was like, okay, random.
You're like, bet, I will.
And it happened. I was just like, I need to talk to somebody. And I remembered him. I called him. He was like, come see me. I went to his sanctuary. And he sits me down. I'm like, I don't know what to do. I'm so lost. I found a job for a little bit, but now I'm jobless again. I feel like I don't know what I'm supposed to be doing. Should I go back home? Should I stay here? So lost. Yeah. He was like, okay, come to me. You're going to be doing this for 10 days. We're going to do breathing and meditation. And you're going to be, after the 10 days, you're going to manifest whatever it is that you need. I was like, really? Okay, well. I don't have anything better to do. Let's do it.
Yeah.
Let's go.
Wow.
So I did that. And then after the 10 days, crazy, I manifested a job in the main agency, fashion agency in Dubai, the modeling agency.
What?
MMG. I started working at
crazy.
MMG.
That's
yeah.
right. You are signed by MMG. That's
Yeah.
unreal.
I'm not anymore, but I was. Yeah.
T. Okay,
Yeah.
right.
We're getting there.
We're getting there. But oh my God, that is a crazy.
And that transition was just like, I'm lost. I don't know what to do. I called this Guruji Sanjeev, who I'm forever grateful to, because he helped me find my way
Yeah.
when I was lost in a spiritual way. And I didn't realize that at that time, spirituality is what helped me find my path.
Yeah.
And then at MMG, I am an employee, not a stylist yet.
Right.
I come in as a events specialist, so I'm assisting the events director, and we put together fashion shows, we put together productions, photo shoots for magazines. We do bookings also, model bookings, talent bookings, hostessing,
Wow.
major fashion shows, brand events, brand launches. We've done a lot for, I did Chanel Les Beiges à la Plage.
Amazing.
25th anniversary of Guess, 85th anniversary of Jaeger LeCoultre Reverso watch.
Sick.
Lots of Van Cleef and Arpels, lots
Yeah.
of beautiful events that, and it was a first for me to do events
Yeah.
in that capacity.
Of course.
So I learned a lot.
Yeah.
And it was a good school. Very
Yeah.
hard, long days, long nights.
That's the thing. Even events, production, what you do now, it's like day and night.
Yeah.
You know.
Oh, I feel like it's very, very close actually
Yeah.
to production. It's production, whether it's events or styling. I always feel like there's a lot of similarities, a lot.
Yeah.
So I kind of learned, I think I worked on that muscle of like how to, work around the timeline, how to have that exchange with clients, build a project, go from a vision to an execution.
Right.
That I think was MMG, being an events specialist at MMG really shaped me in that way. And then it came a time where all PR agencies started doing events too. My boss quit. He was the events director.
Right.
He moved back to London. He went to live in London. And he was like, okay, you're on your own. You got this. And I was like, whoa.
Yeah. You're like, it's just me.
It's just me. Became events manager. Started doing the events by myself. It was great. But I had obviously would hire for specific projects people to be on the team. But I didn't have the turnaround to compete with the PR agencies that were doing events as well.
Double time.
Because we were, at the end of the day, we were an events agency. We were a modeling agency with an events division.
Yeah.
So the manpower was not oriented towards events. And it started being really like unbearable, like not feasible.
Yeah.
And my boss at the time was like, listen, I think it's best that you go into styling. And why styling? Not just randomly. I had started doing my portfolio.
Okay.
Because being in the agency, doing the productions, the photographers, the makeup artists, they kind of noticed me. And we became friends through working together. They were like, you're so stylish. Let's do test shoots over the weekend. And I built my portfolio not knowing that I would actually become a stylist.
That's crazy.
At the beginning. After maybe 6 months of doing it, I kind of was like entertaining the idea.
Yeah.
But the first couple of jobs were just like, oh yeah, I like clothes, I like fashion. And
Just
they
sort of fell in your lap.
yeah, they were like, we see you, come, let's play, let's do this. And pulled me in that direction. And so after a year, without me even really intentionally doing it, I had a portfolio.
Wow.
I actually had a portfolio.
Just by default.
Yeah. And my boss, so Gosha, who became a very close friend, she was like, listen, the agency, the events is becoming, it's not making sense. Why don't you become a full-time stylist? We represent you exclusively. You'll never be jobless. I was like, no. I fought it. Yeah.
Wow.
I was in my mind, I wasn't ready, but she was like, you're so ready. You have a portfolio. What are you waiting for? And then I did it. So I resigned and became
exclusively
them.
signed by them for 4.5 years, I want to say. And then it was great. I was booked and busy.
Yeah, of course.
Was booked and busy.
They make sure of it. That's crazy. And I'm sure that's really what built up your portfolio to where it's at now. I mean,
100%.
you know, and I just feel like going into a little bit more of your styling work now, like how did you go from, I guess, commercial and following briefs and having to satisfy clients to then being like, nope, this is my vision, whether it's more editorial, more curated, more your mind. How did you go from that to that, you know? Because I feel like now you have a very curated, like sort of like, this is your style and this is what you want to do, you know?
Yeah.
But obviously it's not easy when you start out and you're doing commercial things and you're following a brief and you have clients to, you know, approvals and this and that. How did you find that sort of like jump, you know?
I think there was never a jump. It's in Dubai, I think, because of the way the market is set up, it's still fairly new. Fashion is still a fairly new industry in the region. I mean, fashion in the... Yeah, I mean, the country as a whole is fairly new.
Yeah.
So in comparison, if we have to compare, it is a new space. So it makes it so that there's not enough high-end luxury fashion jobs for you to just do that.
Yeah.
That's always been the case, and it still is the case. I also do campaigns in different spaces, like automotive, furniture store. Like I've done home center campaigns.
Yeah.
I've done Mercedes and all these like not so fashion jobs. And I keep doing them, but it's about having a balance and having a niche and translating that to the public. So I'm just very good at curating what I show.
Yeah.
But in reality, to sustain myself and make a living, and that not many people will tell you who are in the creative space, is you curate what your aesthetic is so that you can attract those jobs. But ultimately, bills have to be paid. So you have to take other kinds of jobs too that, you know, not that they're bad.
No,
I don't want to
course.
sound like I'm not grateful to the other types
Course,
of clients.
course.
I love them, but
Yeah.
it's just that's not my specialty.
Yeah.
I'm good at them, but what I want to do and what I love doing is
Straight up fashion.
straight up fashion.
Yes.
More niche,
Yeah.
I guess, and designers.
experimental.
Artistic, and less about selling the product, but more about the vibe and
Yeah. That's commercial. That's the thing.
yeah. For me, it's there's not so much a division. Obviously, one is the way I view it. One is to sustain.
Yes.
And pay the bills, make a living.
Yeah.
And the other one is to have my experimental.
Exactly.
and
Have
my-
fun.
Yeah, my how do I put this? My creative outlet.
Yes.
The creative outlet and the space where I can have fun with clothes and not be restricted by briefs or clients is usually magazines, editorials, or certain brands also that want to launch their products and new campaign, new collections. Yeah.
I really love what you said there. I feel like that's such a like little nugget of wisdom that not many people say, especially in the industry, especially because I just feel like with the nature of the field that we're in, you know, everything is seen on social media. And like you said, it's just what you curate and what you want people to see. And as a result, I feel like there's this pressure that everyone has to be booked and busy doing like the coolest, the chicest, the most like experimental editorial things. And it's just like, that doesn't necessarily always pay the bills. And that's the harsh reality of it.
It's the truth.
And it's not like it's better or worse doing one or the other, right? But it's just, I feel like people forget that there is that balance that's literally required. And I, again, like, you know, not that one is better than the other, but it's just that people miss that. And there's this constant pressure. I also feel like I really want to I mean, correct me if I'm wrong, but that's also what probably keeps the balance within your creativity alive. If you're constantly abiding by briefs or you're constantly doing commercial work, I feel like you're going to feel so limited and so like, what am I doing? And you're going to, need new sources of inspiration. And it's really cool to have the option to do something a little bit more editorial, a little bit more catered to one brand, where you call the shots and you have your vision that you bring to life, to sort of keep both ends running creatively.
Exactly.
Which is so interesting.
For me, I had to learn it while doing it. And I would talk to other creatives, which was really helpful for me to be surrounded with people who do the same as I do, and like ask them, like, guys, how do you take those commercial jobs and then turn around and do all that magic?
Exactly.
Or how, for me, and actually my question back then was actually, how do you always look so perfect and make a living? How do you have all those like beautiful, editorials and beautiful test shoots or submissions and all, like, how do you pay the bills? Like, that was my question, literally. And then they explained to me that no, actually you're meant to do it all, baby girl.
Yep.
You need to do it all.
Exactly.
Just be smart with what you put out and what actually fits your brand. You have to curate your brand and how the world perceives you,
sees you.
That's the whole thing. And I had no clue, so I had learned I just learned how to
balance.
do that balance. And I still appreciate a lot of the jobs that, as I said, pay the bills, and have a lot of respect for them, but I just know that they are not necessarily what I want to put out there as my you know?
Of course. Like, there's things that and everyone does this, and I feel like it is about just, there's going to be things that you're more proud of because it's literally your hand and it's from you,
it's from the
versus,
heart. It's from the heart. Exactly.
100%. So I feel like that's so important. And I'm really happy to be sort of shedding light on that because I feel like there is just so much pressure. It could even be applicable to new photographers or I don't even know, different parts of, 100%. Production or this industry.
Is photographers telling me,
exactly.
Like, babe, you need to do those jobs. Sure. Because they will teach you a lot of skills as well. They teach you other skills that you need to bring back into the fashion world, So one actually complements the other because
100%.
With those big productions, you learn, how to handle briefs, how to follow the how to work in a more restricted space. But then it allows you to understand how to produce your own project because you saw it in that more,
100%
restricted space or. I don't like to say restricted. I feel like that's, but you
like
know what I mean.
For a different word. Yeah, exactly. How did you? I mean, obviously, now we've sort of covered your whole styling and creative direction journey. I have more on that, but I just also am so curious to understand. You're so confident on camera. You're so chill and gorgeous and always just like effortlessly, like, let us breathe. You know what I mean? Like, I can't breathe because I'm just like, it's look after look after look. I want to talk about your content creation and how you go from like behind the camera to taking up space as a proud Black woman here in the fashion industry, in front of the camera. Like, that's a whole different scope. And that is still part of your job. And I just want to know how that has been for you and how you got to the safe space you're at now.
I think it came from a need to express myself. Initially, it was like, let me share my looks. Hand in hand with like being a stylist, to me, it came naturally like, okay, I'm in this fashion space and I love my outfit today. Let me post it. So it started in the stories and then started also getting picked up and noticed by brands, magazines, and they'd be like, okay, can you create content for us? Can you create content for, we're launching this brand? And then I start receiving gifts. And then before you know it, I'm creating content. And that's like a second stream of income. Like it's literally not a tie, but like I would say a good 30 to 40% of my income is content creation. So it has taken a lot more space, and also with the way I think social media is evolving. And I love being on camera. I always have. I had a blog. Like I said earlier, when I was younger, I had a blog. And when I was way, way, way younger, like I would, dress myself. Like I would throw a fit to my mom for 3 or 4 years old and be like, I'm dressing myself to school. I know what I need to be wearing, And my parents both were very fashionable people. And I remember my mom was always very chic, very put together, super elegant. And that's where I think I drew a lot of inspiration from. So it was for me it's non-negotiable for me to show up the way I show up. It's part of like my introduction. It's like if I'm gonna, come into a space, the first thing people see is how I look, how I'm dressed, and how I, and it brings also a layer of confidence to me. If I don't feel well in the way I'm dressed or what I'm wearing, I'm just not gonna.
I feel you. The work doesn't reflect as well.
Yeah.
I need to feel good in order to work good, you know? I so know what you mean. And shout out to all the chic moms and dads. I always say this too. For me, it's always my mom. Like number one, I'm like, she is my style inspo no matter what.
Wow.
Like,
I love that.
I know. And it's just crazy how that's the case. That's just how it is for, even for you and it's just crazy that that's an experience for everyone, that like it's just what you're exposed to from that age from day one. And you're like, that's it. Like, this is just how I show up now,
100%. But also I think specifically for us growing up in spaces that weren't from our community or from our culture, you had to be flawless. So it's another layer to it, because you have to show up. There's a pressure to be perfect, to be flawless. Like you don't have the opportunity to fail. You can't show up just like raggedy.
I know.
Like,
exactly.
Who is she?
Like, what's going on there?
So you already, like, for me it was like, I'm already black. So at a disadvantage in Belgium. And then I have to, I have to
double time.
Exactly.
Yeah. And it's just so frustrating that it's like that, Like it is, honestly, even for me, like I grew up here and I went to a super white school, like I would say 80% white at the time. And I was like, always there was just this underlying feeling that like I need to work double time to look prettier, to look better, have my hair a certain way. And like looking back at those photos, I'm like, damn, I should have just left myself the way I was, because me trying was worse. You know what I mean? Like me trying was literally worse. I should have just been me, which I realized obviously so late. But it's a shame that we all kind of realize that late,
Yeah. Yes, 100%.
And I kind of just wanted to, going off of community, this space is so cutthroat and it's a really difficult space to be in. And Dubai is a really tough city, I would say, for new people that move here, or people like, even for me, I still find it tough. I still find it lonely. And I just want to know like how you found and grew your community, how you found your girls, how you made your little space that you call now home for the past 11 years. Yeah. How did you find that?
Very organically. And the thing is, Dubai is very so unstable. So you build a community, they leave. Half of them are gone.
I'm so happy you said that. It's so real.
The next day, okay, make new friends, go move. Also, with my job, I moved in different clusters, and I feel like at first I was in maybe the event space and everyone in that space. Then now I'm more like, my friends are also in the space of content maybe more now, or I have friends who are completely outside of that. And I end up now, because of, like I said, people move out and leave Dubai, my community is very widespread. And it keeps growing, it keeps shape-shifting. And I'm kind of going with the flow alongside it and not necessarily containing it. Like if right now, and I think that's the season that I'm in, because of life, because of how life has shaped itself. Yeah, I'm moving around in different circles and meeting friends there, and I think for me it's about being flexible.
Yeah.
So it's because it can lead also to, I had moments of like depression because of like feeling alone or not belonging sometimes, or not having the right
Support system,
going through hardship. So yeah, it redirects you as well.
It does.
Those like maybe disappointments
Yeah.
in certain spaces, and then it's like, okay, I need to move in that direction, and then leads you in new spaces. And now, yeah, I have my girlies.
Yeah.
I have a tight circle and then a wider circle. And for me also, growing up, like I feel like I'm still growing up.
Yeah, of course.
Right?
That's
And
so humble. Honestly, it's
Yeah.
so true though, and it doesn't
Yeah.
matter where you are at life. Like we're growing up every single day,
100%.
learning every single day.
Student of
Yeah.
life forever.
I love
and
that.
I love that position. I no, I do.
That title,
I love the
literally.
title because
Yeah.
I am a student of life, and
Yeah.
I have to be open to learning those experiences and learning where life is going to take me next.
Yeah.
Because if you're closed and thinking like I know it all, you're not allowing the new stuff to come in.
That's
You're just
so
not.
true.
I learned the hard way that I needed to be okay with losing people and open enough to meeting new people.
Yeah, making space for
making
new people.
space for
Yeah.
new people. And that, yeah, my community are so, because I'm a chameleon as well. And I come
Little
from different
shapeshifter.
yes, come from different backgrounds. The people around me are also very, very different from one another. Yeah, and
Yeah.
I'm in a good place. I'm in a good place. I think it's still growing. It's
Yeah.
still me and the community. I think we're like finding each other, finding like-minded people
Yeah.
like you.
It is sort of like an ever evolving thing. You
It
know,
is,
it
yeah.
doesn't just stop one day and you're like, this
No.
is it. Like, you know, it's always changing. And I think I personally really resonate with that a lot because that's kind of super close to my mindset. I don't just feel like there's just one place that I'm going to reach and then that's it for me.
Yeah.
I'm so much like that sort of shapeshifter that you
Yeah.
said. I think also because like we're third culture kids and we've
You have to
been
move
from
in
everywhere.
a white space, and then the next day you have to move in your own community.
Cultural
and
space.
It's like, oh wait,
Yeah,
what? And
yeah.
then you shapeshift because it's natural.
Exactly.
You're actually trained that
yeah,
way.
Yeah, for sure. In terms of like hardships, like what do you feel like was like something really hard that you overcame? You know, whether it be in your career or whatever, and how you overcame that, if you ever did at all.
I think hardship. Well, the main one was losing my mom.
Oh, I'm so sorry.
A year and a half ago.
That's pretty recent.
Yes.
Oh, I'm so sorry.
Thank you.
Yeah.
But I wanted to bring it up because I hesitated. I was like, should I not? Because it's still so fresh and I'm still grieving, and I think I'm gonna be grieving forever.
Yeah.
Not I think, I know.
Yeah.
It's a huge loss, and that's the biggest hardship for me. I've never had to go through something like that.
Yeah. Yeah.
And but the pain point, I think, is of course the space she occupied, everything that she, that was, and everything that I wish was also that wasn't yet. And then
Yeah.
I don't know, like sharing certain things, the relationship that we were building.
Yes.
We didn't get to.
Yeah, of course.
There was more to come.
It's ever
right?
evolving.
Yeah,
Exactly.
and I just felt like, oh, it was cut short.
Yeah.
Very unexpected.
I'm so sorry. It's
Thank
not
you.
easy, and it's not something that's ever going to end,
No.
like you said, and that's so important. I feel like, again, there is a pressure to be okay and all of that when really there
Yeah, that
there
was hell.
isn't. Yeah.
That was hell, because with what I do, I'm public.
Yeah.
Even styling, like I have to show what I do, and in order to get other jobs, you have to kind of stay
It's a
visible.
vicious cycle.
Yeah.
Like, you can't take time off. You have to put yourself
No.
out there. Yeah.
And I wanted to, and I did take time off.
Good.
I was fortunate enough to be able to do that. But yeah, it was just also becoming toxic that I was taking too much, not too much, but I needed to go back to work in order to not lose my mind.
Yeah.
I don't know. I'm still like.
Yeah, I know. Still
lost
get in
for
there.
words.
I know, of course.
But yeah.
Yeah.
I think what's the takeaway where I am now, the takeaway would be, I wish that society had more compassion and more understanding that we need to speak about these things.
Yes.
Yeah, we're in a society where grief and death and those things are not discussed.
No.
It's like
exactly. It's just like on mute. Yeah, exactly.
Don't
Like
wanna
it's
bring it
awkward.
up.
No, like yeah.
It's awkward. It's we just people kind of froze up.
Yeah.
And that was very hard because I was grieving the loss of the most important person in my life.
Of course.
Her and my dad, of
Yeah.
course. He's still
Yeah.
there. He's
Yeah.
well. Yeah.
Yeah, there needs
Moms
to
are
be
just
more of a
moms,
space, of course.
And it was so hard to see that there was no space for my sadness or my grief. And it's something that I choose to talk about because I feel I wish there was someone saying this when I was grieving, and when I still am, and I actually now started noticing people online talk about it, like Mayowa, a Nigerian creative who speaks about it. She also lost her mom, and I was like, wow, that's wild. She has a YouTube channel, so she used that platform to talk about her grief, and I found that very beautiful. I don't think I have the courage yet to do
of course
a whole YouTube
video
to talk about my grief, but I resonated with it, and I was like, okay, that's
and also
helpful.
it's how you put it across to like people in your circle and your community, and you opening up and talking about it, encouraging other people to, and that in turn becomes a safe space. Like and it's just honestly so special for you to even open up here and tell me about that, and I'm so sorry for that, and I feel like there isn't a space, and
there isn't.
It almost just makes it 10 times harder,
That's
when it's
the thing.
already like the hardest thing that one is ever going to face.
Exactly. And, and life goes on, which is normal. Everyone, has their own hardships, and I'm sure I'm not the only person who has lost someone special, but the reality is not having an outlet makes you feel lonely. It makes you feel like you're alone in this grief, and it makes it heavier. Because I mean, my outlet became therapy. I'm in therapy, and I do womb healing. Yes.
Wow. That is really interesting. I never heard of that though.
Yes.
Really.
So it's basically cycle syncing.
Wow.
Essentially,
Okay, I understand.
You work on your cycle, but you're also working on your cycle is a tool.
Yes.
But the whole practice is really about you letting go of society standards, all of the patriarchy, or the capitalism, and it's contradictory.
Broad,
It's contradictory because I work literally for the system. Like fashion is like capitalist central. but it has to be dismantled in your body, and like as women, our womb are the carriers of all those like belief systems, and we're kind of hostage of a system, and our bodies are also hostage of that system.
They retain all of that.
They retain all of that pressure, all of the imposed belief systems, and that's what makes us sick, mentally, physically, emotionally. That's what brings us traumas, and unresolved traumas get stored in our womb as women. And so I was like, okay, I need to, after my mom's passing, it kind of happened organically. And I started doing that, plus therapy, like a more behavioral therapy and a more classic approach. But all kinds of therapy. I've always been, even before grieving, I was already
super open about it.
Yes. Yeah. Because you can literally improve yourself through working on the things that are your weaknesses.
Exactly.
You can work on them and make them become a strength. Like it becomes whatever you feel is a weakness can actually become your
Pushes
strength.
you even further.
Because then you know your
Yeah.
triggers, what is the, what are the things that hold you back and you can work on them. So I decided to do therapy a long time ago,
Yeah.
but with my mom's passing, it became mandatory.
Yes.
And it became like a matter of survival.
100%.
I had no choice.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it brought you to where you are now.
Yeah.
And obviously, again, it's just like you said, it's a never ending journey.
Definitely.
It's going to keep going. And the fact that you even encourage other people to open up and talk about it and talk about it yourself, like honestly, like hats off to that, because
Thank
it's
you.
not easy.
Yeah.
It's always going to be such a difficult thing, to ever even speak about.
And I think it's only a beginning, because there's an awakening happening generally in the world. People are waking up to grief with, with the wars and things.
course.
Everyone's kind of grieving.
Yeah.
We're all grieving simultaneously. And I think now it's becoming okay to talk about it.
Yes.
And so maybe that's why we're seeing more of it.
I think so too.
But it's healthy because it's a sign that we're healing.
Yeah.
Because to me, it was toxic that we never actually...
So true.
We're just like celebrating, joy and be happy, and that like toxic positivity. And it's not realistic.
No, I feel so strongly about that, because for me, like, it just leaves like so many questions.
Yeah.
Just so many questions,
Yeah.
It's just like you're always enforced to have this one emotion.
Yes.
Feel this one way. It's like, what about the other end,
Look good, be this, be successful, do all that stuff. And then in reality, you could be going through hell, but there's no space for it, And I understand that work is work, life is life. My grief hasn't taken over my workspace. It's very separate. But the way society is set up, it makes it feel like there is no space at all for it. So it had to become something that I took on as a project. Literally is like, okay, how do I navigate this?
How do you push this? Exactly. I'm gonna switch over to a similar note to this, as taking up space.
Yes.
And talk about how you amplify your community on socials. So like you said, you took this step as a project, right?
Yeah.
And on a similar note, I noticed, like I was telling you earlier as well, like you are such a advocate and spokesperson for speaking up about things like grief, about what you're going through, but then also as like a representative of your community in the space. And I think that's so beautiful, and I think that's so needed.
Yes.
And it's, again, we keep saying the same thing, but that's just because there's so much that we go through that's shunned upon, and just, which
There's
is
layers.
why.
Yeah, there's layers.
Yeah. And so that's why I kind of want to ask how your mindset is towards that, and sort of like what your ideal vision is for the community, and how you want to push that.
Yeah. Multiple layers here.
Yes.
Multiple.
Yeah.
As a stylist, I'll start there.
Yeah.
I see that there's not enough representation for us, Black people, Black girls who are in the fashion industry. In stores, for example, when I pull clothes, I don't see designers except Andrea Iyama, who recently was picked up by Unas.
Wow.
There was no other Black-owned brand. So I'm pulling clothes, right? Regularly, all the time. I'm going through racks and racks of clothes to pull for shoots and curate. And I would love to see more of us, more Black-owned or Afro-descendant, Pan-African brands. We're not represented enough. And yeah, it's something that I try to put forward with, like creating a wish list or buying. Like I buy Black.
Yeah.
I have, made a conscious effort to always like, I want this bag. Let me see if, this designer makes
Black-owned
it.
brands. Yeah.
Just to
Support.
practice what I preach, first of all, but also support, because I believe that we have talents. It's just not, it's mostly encouraged in the music. I find like music, entertainment, that kind of stuff. But like when it comes to fashion and things like that were a source of inspiration. Don't get me wrong.
Yeah.
But we're not
course.
given the space.
The
Because like,
options.
you know, black girls dictate like a lot of the culture, like even the way makeup is done sometimes. Like you see this, there was a
course.
whole discourse, I don't know if you followed on TikTok, Hailey Bieber,
Yeah.
honey brown lip situation that they were like, no, that's literally a black and brown girl thing.
Yeah.
And that started in the 80s or 90s. She didn't invent
You did not
anything.
invent this. Exactly.
But this is happening because there's not enough space, you know, or not enough space is given. There is enough space. It's a scarcity mindset to think that it's,
exactly. That's the thing. There is enough space. There are enough options.
Yes.
It's just about claiming it.
Yes.
You know?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But like sometimes at an event, for example, I'll be the only black girl. It's like, well, why?
Yeah.
Why?
Yeah.
You know? Or there's 2-3 of us and we're like,
Yeah, you're all seeing each other. Like, I see you. Yeah.
it's weird.
Yeah, no, it is.
It's weird because I don't understand. Yeah, I genuinely don't understand it. And then in another layer, there's many, but like another layer for me is I try to give back to the Congolese community through working with charities in Congo, in particular a school called Malaika.
Amazing.
And it's Lubumbashi, a region where my dad is from, actually. The school is founded by Noela Corsaris, and she's half Congolese, half Greek. And it's a beautiful project that is really close to my heart. So I tried, that's for me a way to shed light on the community. And Congo for me is home, but it's not, because I never lived there. I only recently went back as an adult. It was such a big homecoming last year. So just,
wow, that's special.
Yeah. I had to go back to deal with estate because my dad is not in condition to travel, so I had to do that. Me being the single one of the family, no kids,
of course.
You can travel, you can go take care of that. I was like, okay, fine.
Yeah.
And it actually worked out great because last year was also the first time the school, Malaika, had a graduation. So they started in 15 years ago. And it was the first time that the girls who were 6 when they started graduated. So they started at 7 or 8, and they just now graduated.
Special. Yeah.
It's crazy.
Wow.
And I used that opportunity to like be at the graduation. I dressed the owner of the school, the founder, and Eve, who is the president, Eve, the rapper. She's the president of the association.
Wow, that is so cool.
Yeah, it was special.
Yeah, that is so special. And I love that you said, you know, about practicing what you preach and being so involved, like how you just said. And it's so important. And it's seen in your confidence and your voice online, I feel.
Thank you.
You know, and I feel like when you show up unapologetically as who you are, what you stand for, I think is just as important as how cute you look. You know what I mean? And I feel like that's what I personally love about you and your content and you as a person.
Thank you.
Is like, not only is it like we got the face card, but we also have the heart and the mind, you know? And I think that's so special. And I love that.
Oh, that's the
honestly,
best compliment ever. You're gonna make me cry.
Of course. I mean it. Like it's so rare to find. I mean, you see people and it's either just a pretty face and nothing really going on back there, or, you know, like it's just, and I think we just need more of that, you know?
Yeah, it's work.
Yeah.
I think it's easy to be complacent and say like, oh, I'm just gonna, you know, be pretty, and forget about, you know, the substance.
Exactly, the
I
substance.
strive for substance.
Yes.
I can't. It's just, I think it's again, parents, like my dad was very much involved into politics and matters of the world and so worldly. My mom loved traveling and she was a very worldly person. So they instilled that in me. And community was a huge thing for us as well. My mom taught me how community, like she was a matriarch. So just to put a little context here, she was one of the first in her generation to live in Belgium. Yeah, like she's came in the 60s, 70s to Belgium, and that was the beginning of, after the colonization of Congo, the first, so Belgium colonized Congo, just for context, and my mom is from Congo and then moved to Belgium as a student because my granddad was a diplomat, so it was like, you guys are going to study in Belgium, and then she met my dad, and they kind of never went back, but had us. But I say this to say she was there for so long that she became like the big sister of everyone that came after.
I understand. She was a pillar there.
One of. Like, I'm not saying she, but she knew so many people. Like at her funeral, it was just a lot of people saying, your mom helped me find a house. Your mom helped me this. Your mom helped me that. So when I see how amazing my mom was, I can't really afford to be mediocre. I think this and not in a like, oh my God, I have a lot of pressure on my shoulders, but I just like, it's natural for me to be like, how can I help? How can I be of service? Because ultimately my value also is not that my value goes through what I can bring. I think we are valuable as a birthright, you know, just from birth. Like I'm here. This is, you know, this is me. But I think the way I'm raised is, how can I be of service? Yeah. And yeah,
it's selfless, which is a good thing. It is a good thing, because it's, how can I be of service? How can I help? And how can I, you know, be there for you?
But I don't think it's all the way selfless. I think being, there is a part that is also self-satisfactory. Like I want to be in that space because it brings me joy, and it makes me feel like I'm doing something great. And it, you know, it also fills me up.
When did you feel like in your career, now correct me if I'm wrong, you could tell me that maybe this moment hasn't happened for you yet and there's more to come, but what was a moment that you felt like, wait, I'm really doing this? Like, this is me. Like, I did this? Like, what? You know, like, what was that moment for you?
Yeah, so there's a few. I'd say the very first one where I was in disbelief was Willie William.
Yeah.
The DJ producer of Mi Gente. Like a song that I kept hearing everywhere for like 3 years. And then a producer friend reached out, Mimi. She was like, we're shooting a video for Willie William and da da da. And I was like, wow, okay, bet, let's do it.
Wow. And
then I met him, and it's really, it's because you go from seeing these people on, you know, TV or hearing it on the, not radio, but like
hearing it around.
You hear it around, and then you meet the people. It's very special, because it also kind of gives that confirmation that you're doing something right, you know?
Exactly.
Yeah.
And I really like that inner narrative, rather than like, I mean, it's only normal to feel a little ounce of imposter syndrome, obviously. Yeah. But I think it's so beautiful to think of it as more affirming and being like, wait, I am good.
I am good.
This is crazy. Like, and I'm doing something right here.
If this is happening, that must mean that I'm actually okay. There's a reason.
Yes.
Or actually before Willie Williams. Sorry, Willie. Yeah. Love you. But it was Lauryn Hill.
That's absolutely crazy.
It was actually Lauryn Hill.
Oh.
Because also, that's a fun story. I had a vision board. So I'm big on manifestation and all that, you know.
Woo
woo. Yes, literally, I love woo woo.
Yeah.
So I had a vision board with lots of little pictures, and one of them was, it said like, African women of the world unite. It was a
headline
that I had there, and then I had Lauryn Hill's picture, Kat Janine, she's a specific, like a singer from Côte d'Ivoire, I think. Yeah. Anyway, I had pictures. She was there. And I think a year and a half later, I get the call like, hey, we need someone to help her main stylist. She's doing the Jazz Fest. That's 2020.
Wow.
she's doing the Jazz Fest, Dubai Jazz Fest. We need someone to help her. I was like, okay, sure. And I've never been an assistant, actually. I can't say that, but I gladly assisted.
Yeah.
Because that's Lauryn Hill.
Of course.
Yeah. And so I met
Wow.
her, and she was super nice. We took a picture. She was lovely, and was for me a big moment because growing up, Lauryn Hill, Naomi
Yes.
Campbell, they were the very few like dark skin black women that we got to see on screen be successful and be
Yes.
celebrated.
100%.
And she's so successful
Yeah.
at what she does. So it felt like, wow, she was always one of my
Top.
top people that I admired. Her, Erykah Badu, and like
Yes.
a lot of these like, you know,
100%.
90s, 2000
Artists.
artists.
Yeah.
So it was special for me.
That
Yeah.
is so special. I know that you recently went to Fashion Week as well. And you covered, right? Like, what was that about?
Oh, yes.
That was actually crazy.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, so Paris Fashion Week was through a friend editor at Grazia. I initially planned on going to Fashion Week, but when I go, it's like one event here, one show, 2, 3, like not a lot of, not at this pace or not with this, in this capacity,
Yeah.
let's say. But then I got the opportunity to go as a contributor for Grazia
Yes.
through my friend editor at Grazia. And it was just, she was like, okay, if you're going, we had a random conversation. She said, if you're going to be going, you could be, you know, doing some content for us and be our correspondent. I was
Yeah.
like, yeah,
Sign me up.
let's do it.
Yeah.
That was fun because I
Yeah.
got to be, you know, at shows that maybe I wouldn't have had the opportunity to because it's very like, you know,
Tight.
tight.
Niche, yeah.
You have to be either an editor or like a top stylist, like Luxury Law, you know, Luxury
Yes,
Law, Zendaya
of course,
stylist.
of course.
So
Crazy.
that was the space at Fashion Week. It was those calibers. And I
Yeah.
was like, wow, I'm here next to, like, across from Anna Wintour.
That's unreal.
Front row.
Yeah.
How?
That's crazy.
Like
You fit right
how?
in.
I did.
You did. You
I
did. The
did.
content showed trust. I was like looking and I was like, is this real life? I was like, this is my girl like from Dubai, but
Yeah.
she's out there doing that. I was like, that's crazy.
Me too. I look back and I'm like, wow.
Yeah.
I didn't think that would be me
Yeah.
just yet, but it was cute. It was
Yeah.
really another one of those moments where you're like, I must be doing something right if I'm sitting
Yes.
like right across from Anna Wintour.
Yeah, it's like,
know?
well, maybe this is the
Anna?
pinnacle of styling. Like, hi, Miss Anna. No, so true. So true. I think it's moments like this that like sometimes life throws them your way and you're
Yeah.
not even prepared for them, you know? But they're just such like reaffirming moments. And I love hearing about them from other people because it makes me hopeful and hopefully it makes like, you know, the people listening to this also hopeful that sometimes you're not even prepared for something.
You don't see it coming.
You don't see it coming. And then it's probably like one of the biggest highlights of your career, your personal life or whatever it may
Yeah.
be, you know, and,
Yeah.
and it, there's just no way to be prepared for it. And there's no way to be like, oh, of course you can put your intention out there and be like, this is what I want, you know? And I'm sure that was the intention for you, but it's just like, it just happens when it has to happen, you know?
I don't know if it's a career move. I
Yeah.
think it's more of a personal satisfaction that reaffirms my position in the in the fashion industry as a curator, as a person of reference, as a luxury consultant. It gave me that, you know, a step
Yeah.
ahead, I guess, in what I do already. I didn't prepare for that.
Yeah, of
it
course.
just it happened. Had the conversation. The week later, I was on the flight.
Boom.
It was that crazy. Yeah, you have to be flexible. Like I said, be able to go with the flow and have discernment of where to push, where to slow down, where to. It's really a muscle that you learn to like flex.
Yeah.
Like this is, and it's always trial and error, but you have to be willing to fail in order to grow and to learn. So yeah, I've made mistakes. I failed and fell
Yeah.
many times. I just don't make them very public.
It's like,
But I'll share. Anyone who asks me, I can definitely share. Like, okay, this was an epic fail.
Yeah.
But I learned from it, and then the moments where you shine come along, and they feel much better, even because you know all the failures that came before that one moment of shine. And that's what people, unfortunately, but that's how, I think that's how we share also online. It's like we share the highlights, and people see that and like, how does she does it? She nails it all the time.
All the time. Every single time.
No, baby.
Yeah, there was 10 fails before this one. You just can't see them.
Yes.
But I love that you said that, because it's so true. I read this recently as well, that obviously because I'll, this is something I'm facing right now, right? I started this podcast, and then I did a bunch of episodes, and I was just like, you know what? I'm going to go on holiday, and I'm just like never going to record an episode again. It's like, what? Like, I took a break, So I was like, this is not okay, like whatever. And I was really beating myself up.
Yeah.
And then I was reading online, and I was seeing that, there's this thing called the dip, which everyone goes through. And in that dip, it's about how you come
out of it.
And out of it. And I love that you said that, because in my head as well, I was like, obviously, like, I can't just be perfect and amazing, and this podcast isn't going to go exactly how I want it to go just because I started it. It's going to have its ups and downs and its dips, and it's about going past it, because then once
that's
you do,
the magic.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It feels
how
better.
How do you bounce back?
Exactly.
Yes.
And like you said as well, like, it makes that one moment of like the highlight feel amazing.
Yes.
Because
even brighter and shinier.
Exactly.
And
yeah. And I love that you said that, because I resonate with that right now. Like, this is exactly what I'm going through.
Wow.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm glad I could say that.
Because I've really been thinking about that. And I'm like, honestly, if stuff just came easy, where's the fun in that?
Exactly. There wouldn't be anything special about the beautiful experience and achievements.
I really had to remind myself of that,
I can share, actually, just for context, what failures I've been through, actually very simultaneously with Fashion Week happening for me. Right before Fashion Week, I was offered, I'm not going to name names, but like I was offered a position as creative director for a magazine.
Wow.
But then the projects that I initially said yes to kind of fell off, and it was different projects. And then I felt like that's not what I signed up for. It was still a magazine, but it wasn't necessarily, it didn't feel right. It didn't feel right. I was like, I actually want to sign up, and I signed up for this. Then they changed the brief, and I had to turn it down with a heavy heart, because I was like, I was so close to that thing that I want to do.
Yeah.
And it got taken away. But then the week after, I was in Paris.
Right.
So, that's what people don't see.
Exactly.
Is like, I actually, was
going through that
too.
Yeah.
Or years before that, I actually was applying also for a magazine but that was like as a employee, because I was like, this freelance life is too rough.
Yeah.
Like, the income is not stable. The bills are stable. So
the bills keep coming, but I don't know about the cash. Yeah,
exactly. So I was like, oh no, maybe I should work in a magazine. So I did apply for a job at a high-end, very good magazine, and we kind of did tests together. So I was working on a couple of projects. They would pay me, but it was like a test. I was being tested. And it didn't go through, and I felt bummed, I was really bummed about it, but kept moving, and things, and then that door closed, but other doors opened. So it's always just about not staying down for too long.
Yes.
Because there's no reason to, really. Like, it always felt like when I was going through those things, I always felt like, okay, that's not happening. Maybe I'll cry for a day, or maybe I'll be, sob in my PJ and watch a movie watch Netflix, binge watch for a day or two, but then get back up. You get back up and literally put it out there, keep pushing, and it will eventually happen.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And I think I really needed to hear that. I don't know about you guys, but I really needed to hear that right now. Like, honestly, this is what I'm facing. And like it makes me feel like, you just need to, again, like you said, you take that one, day or so to be in your feels and whatever, but then you can't stay in it forever. You got to get back up.
No. Yeah.
Yeah.
But also, I want to say the rest. That was something I recently had to impose on myself, the rest. Resting is also a way to let things happen for you. Because when you're grinding and you're like pushing and like in this like almost hustle energy all the time, you're telling the universe that you don't believe it's going to happen for you. You have to go and fight very, very hard because it's not happening.
Right.
But if you tell the universe, like, it is happening for me, I can rest, I can take a break every now and again, I can give myself the space to breathe, to think about my mind, my body, my spirit. Am I okay? Like, reflect, journal, all those things actually help you manifest and heal. And it's all connected. And I'm a big believer of spirituality, but also like taking care of yourself physically and not letting society dictate your rhythm. Yeah. I'm taking breaks all the time now. And they actually turn out to be spaces where my imaginary can travel, can rest, can dream. I can, and new things come to me without me even trying sometimes, just because I allow them to come, because I took a break. Yeah. I was like, I want that. Okay, let it go. Let the idea go. Let it float and it'll come. Yeah.
And honestly, coming from a Capricorn, if you can take a break,
had to learn.
Everyone can. Trust me. Like, that's great, because it's not easy. It's not easy. But pausing,
The break was also imposed with grieving. It was non-negotiable. I had to take a break for my mental health. But then I kept it and applied it to, to my day-to-day. Yes. Like, okay, I'm going to do this. I'm going to go hard for maybe 3-4 days, but then I'm out. Yeah. And I come back. Even on my social media, if you follow me, you see that, okay, she's there. And then the week after, mute.
Radio silence. Yeah, literally.
Disappear and act.
Literally, peace. Exactly. Yeah. No, wow. I love that. So I guess my last little question for you is, like, what's next for you? Like, what's coming up? We got the rest of the year. We got the rest of many years. Like, what's next for you?
I'm moving more towards creative direction / production for brands. I want to be more in that space where I put together, I guess I'm going back to production a little bit. Not me being the producer, but like having more control over projects. So not coming in just to execute the styling or the mood board of or the vision of someone else, like another creative director. So I'm moving more in that direction now. Well, I want to go more into, like, I've recently done a job for a brand, Taler Marmo, like in store and really style.
That was so cool.
Thank you. You liked it?
Yeah, that was so cool. I was looking on all your stories and everything. It was so immersive and interactive. I feel like it was a really personal experience. Yes, and I really think that's
the direction I want to take with styling, because I'm always on set, always styling a project, a specific but I want to let people into how do you come up with the idea? How do you create that look? And give them the technicality of, like, I chose this dress because of this and that. I chose this to dress it down or dress it up. And I want to move more towards the, I guess, educational space a little more. Yeah.
Oh, I totally see that for you, because you have so much to share and so much for people to learn from you. I think that would be so amazing.
I thank you. And I think that's the experience and everything. The hardship, I guess, is like bringing me to a point where now I feel confident enough to be like, okay, look, 1, this is how you build the look. Look, 2, this is how you prepare for whatever, like,
exactly.
Context-based wardrobe creation, wardrobe building, and all of that. I'm I'm contemplating that,
Yeah.
which is very different from styling campaigns, photo shoots, editorials. But people think it's the same thing.
Yeah.
It's so not.
No.
It's very different. Different discipline, different muscle. And I'm, moving towards that because it's a big request. In my DMs, people constantly ask me, hey, how can I do, what should I wear to a wedding? What should I wear to da-da-da? Like, and I know where to guide them to, where to send them to go and find the options. But I feel like I could bring them that information myself. And
of course. Like more on a consulting format.
Yes.
That is so cool. And I feel like we need more of that. Yeah, of course. Because like I have those questions sometimes, and I just need sometimes you just need like an external.
Yeah. Where do I go? And then how do I put it together? And then how like the experience of creating a look. Like some people genuinely don't know where to start. And I understand that. And for me, it's something that I want to bring, but because I've always been, like I said, tangled in other projects, I never looked at that as a possible source of income, but like also like a possible way to create the content and share it. So I'm contemplating.
Yeah, that's so exciting.
Contemplating that. Thank you.
I can't wait to see what's next for you. I'm excited to see this come to life and more, because
thank you.
Our girl right here just doesn't stop, which I love. And I can't thank you enough. I think this is a wrap, honestly.
Hey.
And I can't thank you enough for opening up to me and to the sort of like small yet growing community we have going on here. And it just means so much that you were so open and so willing. And it's just so special because I know that we've always been on the same wavelength and sort of understood, and I couldn't be happier to share your story and sort of like, kind of like your brain work. And I feel so special that you shared it with me. So thank you so much. Yeah.
I mean, you said a small community, but I feel like it's a special and meaningful community because it's a beautiful space where you're coming very raw. You're coming with flaws and all, and being so vulnerable and so open that it encourages me to. You're basically giving me power and strength, like right now.
Yeah.
So I'm super grateful for the space, for you allowing me to share my everything. And I really appreciate it. It's extremely special for me.
Yeah, that makes me so happy. Yay. Thank you so much. We're officially at the end of this episode. Thank you so much. And I couldn't be more excited for this to come out, and I couldn't be more grateful to have the space, to have you. And I'm just so happy with this, and I hope you guys enjoy it as well. So don't forget to subscribe and like and comment and engage. Please go ahead and follow Jennifer if you don't already. You have the dopest IG handle. Please tell everyone what it is.
At Bambi Coco.
Love it. Like, honestly, for the longest time I was like Bambi Coco. Like, and then I was like, wait, Jennifer. Like, that was like a personal thing now.
Oh, it can be. It's still Bambi Coco.
Yeah.
It can be. Yeah, it's my name.
No, I love it. It's so nice. Like the best at ever. Anyway, so follow my girl. Follow at Identity Crisis as well, and tag along to the journey, and more guests to come. So we'll see. Thank you guys.
Bye.
Bye.